It's about to be a hell of a night.
Hey, yo, it's Tiger.
I'm Melissa Carr.
This is Ray Shrimmer.
It's Brian's World Live.
Are you ready? You know what it is.
Y'all turn up. All right, welcome to Brian's World Live. First of all, you can like and subscribe. I'm about to get in the rhythm of this thing, so you want to get on board. I mean, right now. And you can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at Brian's World Live. And I will hit you right back. So we are fresh off of the Michael Jordan story, or it's bigger than Michael Jordan. We're fresh off of The Last Dance, which is the story of the Chicago Bulls, 1997-98 Chicago Bulls, and I am, I guess I'm just at a loss. Well, no, I ain't gonna say at a loss for words because I'm about to do a show, so it's kind of not convenient to be at a loss for words. But I am struck by what I saw. Now, dig this, right? 1990, the year I was born. Shout out to all the 90s babies. If you were born in 1990, drop a comment below so I can know that I have some friends here. But, you know, a true 90s baby, man, I got to see Jordan do his thing, you know what I mean? And put it like this. I didn't get to see, like, I wish that I was a teenager when Jordan was playing, all right? But I was young enough to be inspired, like, to not inspired is an understatement. I was young enough to be enamored by Michael Jordan. And, I mean, it's so much that even until this day, like, you know what I mean, you could ask my girlfriend, like, I literally just spent 2 hours glued to this TV like I'm like a 8-year-old kid. And I know other people, I know somebody else is going to feel the same way, or somebody did the exact same thing, because that's the type of person that Jordan was, and that's the type of grip that he had on us and still has on us, even as grown men or whatever. So my bad. Let me cut off these notifications, y'all. I kind of just stopped watching the joint and just jumped into the episode. But anyway, so I was super enamored with Michael Jordan, and I know a lot of people can say the same thing. But I was enamored with the team. I was enamored with the triangle offense. I was just getting into basketball myself. So I'm modeling different things and different little isms and stuff like that after Jordan and the Bulls. So being able to watch The Last Dance, I mean, without even getting into what it was actually about, and without getting into the details of it, I mean, just the overall experience and the nostalgia of reliving some of these moments that, it's just certain things that I would see and I'm like, wow, I remember when that happened. You know what I mean? Like, I just remember Scottie Pippen going through, the ups and the downs and dealing with a lot of things in Chicago. Then I remember him ending up playing in Portland I remember him playing for the Blazers, and just different things within the story and within just the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance. Man, it was something special. All right, so I got a list together, right? It's like a 15 things, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it in order, man, because it's just a lot to take on. Like, it was just a very good docu-series, yo. Shout out to ESPN. Shout out to Michael Jordan for finally giving the okay, for them to actually release it or whatever. The underlying theme of the whole thing, and I guess why I really like it so much, man, is that it's about perseverance. It's about resiliency. It's about not caring about, the odds. You know what I mean? It's about not being okay and being satisfied with being told no. Like, I mean, and to put it into even more perspective, just so you can understand what this is really, really, really about. It's about not being okay with 5 rings and wanting to go for 6. If you want to call it, spade a spade, And I know personally, I relate that to so many things in my life, man. I mean, just because in our lives, and we can relate that to so many things in our lives. And I ain't going to start preaching. I'm just saying, 5 rings is cool, but if you can get 6, go get 6, And that's what the Bulls did. And, there's a couple things that they mentioned, just around that whole tone or whatever that just kind of just stuck out for me, And literally, Jordan talked about how tough but how important it was for that team to be able to drown out all of the distractions that were around the locker room at that time, which, you got trade rumors, you got Scottie who was out, or was about to demand a trade. You got Jerry Krause, who was shaking things up for whatever reason, and who also apparently had a huge ego. I just didn't know. He had the small man complex, as they call it. And then you have this legendary coach, Phil Jackson, who is apparently leaving the team. But Phil was pretty much as much of a catalyst of it as Jordan was. You have all these different dynamics and things that were attacking this team. And Jordan, within the first 15 minutes of it, not even 15 minutes, only 5 minutes, he just talked about how important it was for them to put all those distractions aside. And I know personally he said something that stood out to me about how he'll never let a man in a suit dictate what happens on the court. I just thought that was just brilliant. That was just leadership. Jordan was like just a different thinking person and just the caliber of leadership that Jordan embodied was just unbelievable. It's the Kobe bug. It's the LeBron bug. Well, I guess they caught the Michael Jordan bug. But put it like this. They all got that same little flu, if you will. They all got that same little that same little thing. You know what I mean? And Jordan had it, to me, out of the ball players that I've seen in my life, again, 1990 stand up, Jordan had it the most. All right, Jordan had that bug, and you got to see it within the first couple minutes of the documentary. And I really appreciate ESPN for not taking the curse words out too. Like, and maybe it's just because I watched it on Sling. I'm not a cable guy. I don't do cable anymore. Although they provide the internet, so I guess they are providing the show, kind of, sort of. But anyways, I was watching on Sling, and I just heard like F-bombs and S-words and all type, and I'm just like, shit, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? But the reason I say it's pretty cool is because that time period was rugged. It was a very tough time for them. And, it was a time period that you would expect to be doused in explicative language. Explicit language. It wouldn't be realistic if they blanked it out. It just wouldn't feel the same. So I appreciate ESPN for allowing those curse words to fly out, if you will. You know what I mean? Because that's just the time that they lived in. It's a very stressful time. Very, very tough year for them. Because personally, I wasn't necessarily as informed about Jerry Krause as I should have been, all right? And, honestly, I didn't know that he was I'm going to say backbone, but he did a lot in terms of putting together some of those Bulls championships. Even in the first 2 episodes, you can kind of hear some people, not even some people, everybody, like even the people who didn't have the best taste in their mouth from Jerry Krause, even they gave him I about to say standing ovation. Oh, I'm tripping. They gave him some love. They showed him some honor for putting together those teams and saying that he had talent in doing that. But see, his issue was that he had a tendency to alienate people. He always found a way to alienate people. And, essentially what it was is that he wanted the shine too. Jordan obviously was going to get his shine. Phil Jackson definitely going to get his shine because, he created a lot of what we saw on the court. Scotty going to get his shine because Scotty, going to do his thing. The players going to get their shine. But Krause, and Krause actually won awards for being the GM of the year and stuff like that. But I guess it just wasn't enough. He wasn't in tabloids and everything. And it from the way that they made it seem, and it could be wrong because I wasn't there. All right, I was like 7 years old. So like, don't expect me to be there. I don't really know. I'm just going off of what the documentary was saying, or the docu-series was saying. It made it seem as though Krause really wanted to be the center of attention in whatever way possible. And it kind of seemed like, he was ready to blow up the team to do that, just to prove that he could build another team. Now, I added that last part, but judging off of what they're saying, I just finished the sentence, all right? It just kind of seemed like he wanted to show everybody he can do it again. Show everybody that he was talented enough to do it again. You know what I mean? And it created a lot of friction within the locker room. And that's another thing that I really appreciate about The Last Dance is that for me personally, it kind of opened me up to a new understanding that I'm just now stepping into, and that is tapping into the business side of a lot of things that we really don't want business to be involved in. So for me personally, entering that understanding is my understanding of church. All right, I ain't gonna get into it because I don't feel like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just don't feel like doing all of that. But at one point in time, I was pursuing being behind the podium, if you will, or being behind the altar, if you will, whatever. And in that time period, I was able to kind of see and begin to understand that okay, there's a business side to church, and as much as I didn't want to admit it, it was there, and it was prevalent. It just is what it is, and without it being there, the church wouldn't be there. So I just started to kind of understand that, and I'm starting to apply that to professional sports now, namely basketball, because in football, it just doesn't really seem like they be having them little prima donna issues that the NBA has. I ain't gonna get into any more of that either because I don't want to ruffle no feathers. Not right now, not this early in the game. But The Last Dance showed that there's a business side to this. Even Jordan talked about it. I'm not letting anybody who wears a suit to the games or during the game, I'm not letting them talk about anything that has to do with what's going on the court. I'm just not gonna let it happen. You know what I mean? And even from Krause's standpoint, he made a statement that I don't even know where this came from. It's the stupidest thing in the world, but honestly, it's applied to business today. If you want to be, I ain't gonna say business. I'm gonna say capitalism. It's applied to capitalism today, and that's the belief that organizations win titles, not players. Now that was the misquote. I did that on purpose. All right, that was the misquote. That's what I don't know the reporter. They never really talked about the reporter in The Last Dance, but there was a reporter who quoted Krause. If you know that reporter, you can drop it in the comments so that I can at least sound like I know at least part of what I'm talking about. But there was a reporter who said that Krause said that word for word, that organizations win titles and players and coaches don't. But what he was really trying to say is that not just players and coaches win, but an organization wins. I get that. I understand that, and I actually subscribe to that thinking and that ideology. But Krause's actions just kind of didn't match up, at least just focused on that year in, dealing with Phil Jackson, who's a coach that, I don't think I would ever fire. You know what I mean? I like that unless Krause knew something that I don't know or that we don't know, I would never fire Phil Jackson. Like, period. Like, that just don't make sense. But you got that headline. Then you got Scottie Pippen, who you're paying him peanuts, which I found out in the Last Dance. I had no clue that Scottie wasn't making no bread for real. But then you got Scottie Pippen, who pretty much is about to demand a trade, you know what I mean, at this particular juncture. You got Michael Jordan, who's carrying the team, obviously, and in order for him to do that, he's ruffling a lot of feathers within the team. And you just have these dynamics where it's like, and don't forget, Jordan said that if Jackson ain't coming back, I ain't coming back. And that's not just your star player. That is the NBA star player. You know what I mean? So you just have all those headlines, man. And in the middle of it was the team. And, I mean, it just kind of made it seem like Krause was the catalyst of all the dysfunction. And it literally just seemed as though he just wanted the spotlight and the shine, and he just wanted to blow up that team so he can start fresh and start over. Scottie's leaving, so let's start over. That I know doesn't make any sense, although Scottie Pippen is a very important player. Clearly, that team went on to win a championship, so it really didn't make too much sense. But, speaking of organizations, man, one of the things that I really liked about The Last Dance was that it was about sports, but it really was about organizational theory. And here's what I mean when I say that. It was really about what is necessary to run a solid organization, whether you're talking sports, whether you're talking your own personal business, whether you're talking about your strip club, whatever, like a church, and just piggybacking off of what I said about 7 minutes ago. It's about organizational theory. That's what it was all about. It was about a hierarchy. It was about Michael Jordan understanding that he's a leader of the team, but still playing within a system that is under a coach who is a part of a bigger organization. You see what I'm saying? It is the understanding that anything that you want to happen on the court, it had to go through Michael. That's organizational theory. That's just what it is. This is how you separate different pieces of your organization or different pieces of your group. And I ain't the best leader, but I know that. You know what I mean? Like, but anyways, that's what it was based on. And it was like a great lesson in organizational theory, because you got this team that starts off in this slump. I want to say with 0-4 on the road or whatever. And, how do you get these guys to win again? How do you get these guys to believe in themselves again despite the headlines? How do you get these guys to want to fight and to want to play and da-da-da, woo-woo? And Michael took that on and understood, okay, I'm going to have to start barking at some of these dudes. I'm going to have to start, getting these guys to play on their feet and play every game like it's their last game. That's what Michael Jordan did. That was his thinking. That was his understanding. And anybody that watched him on the court, can attest to that. Like, he played every game like it was his last. He said it 1,000,000 times in The Last Dance. But see, thanks to organizational theory, right? As the captain, as the leader of this team, who plays every game like it's his last, it's just natural science and understanding that thinking will be a catalyst for the rest of that team. That thinking right there can get that team to the playoffs despite whatever. That thinking right there will ultimately go on and help this team win a championship, making these players feel as though they are bigger and better than they really are. That's what leaders do. And in this case, that's organizational theory. Now, I hope I got all my details and all my years right with bringing that back, because I'm just trying to run off memory right now. But, organizational theory says that, okay, I want my guys to play better, so my leader on the floor is going to get these guys to play better. It just is what it is, all right? Also, organizational theory is, and you got to give Krause his credit, building a team around Jordan like he did, I mean, he really put that together, Then also organizational theory is what happens when somebody, this is gonna be a rough visual, but just hear me out, because I gotta paint this picture just in case you running a business or you thinking about running a business. All right. The Last Dance showed organizational theory because it showed you what happens when you have a leader at the top, like way at the top of the food chain, who spits on everybody below. That's what Krause did. Krause just drooled and just spit on everybody like, forget y'all. And you see what happens. Okay, so it trickles down. Phil Jackson now is going to be out at the end of this year, which is even dumb. It's just dumb for me to say that. But, I mean, I guess that had to happen, right? Because then you got Kobe. We'll talk about that later on down the line. But then you got Krause, who spits on Phil Jackson, who knows that he's going to be out. And then that leftover, oh my God, this is so nasty. That leftover drool just falls on the rest of the team and, just brings about all types of other problems with it, and that trickles down onto the floor, onto what happens on the court. You see, that's organizational theory. And that's why it's just always important to have the right person at the top. That's why it's always important to have the right leader and the right catalyst. Because if you got somebody who drooling and just spitting from the top, on the people below, it ain't gonna do nothing but just make things worse. You know what I mean? So I just really appreciated the organizational theory side of The Last Dance, and I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I learned a lot from it, and I learned a lot of things that I can apply to my life, from their mistakes, from Krause's mistakes, from Scottie Pippen's mistakes, from Jordan's mistakes. I learned a lot. But organizational theory is definitely one of those things that when you go back and watch episode 1, my bad, I just had a bunch of chicken. So I might be, never mind, don't worry about it. But when you go back and watch episode 1 and episode 2, just think about the organizational theory and just kind of see how the Chicago Bulls organization just, how it was organized and just, that doesn't make sense, how the organization was ran, and, just see if there's any lessons you can kind of apply to your life and your own conquest, different things that you're trying to get involved in. So at this point of episode 1, this is where I went out to go pick up said chicken. This is where I went to go get the food. Now, I was watching on my phone, but also was trying not to hit nothing in Baltimore because I don't want no issues. You know what I mean? But while I was listening on my phone, this is the point where they kind of went back and told the story of Michael Jordan in college and kind of how he became Michael Jordan. Taking that shot and kind of who he was as a freshman. And begging his mom for money. You know what I mean? Like his mom read this like touching letter that came from Michael Jordan and all of that, and it was just in that period of time, pretty much his younger days, if you will. What really stood out to me about this particular point of time is the same thing. Watch this, right? The same thing that I hear in a lot of heroes, sports heroes, a lot of people who we look up to, especially as 90s babies. Again, 1990, stand up. What up, though? There is a innate ability to just focus on the game. There is an innate ability that these legends have to just focus on winning that game, to focus on whatever needs to be done to win. Jordan spoke about, sometimes some of the things that the team would do, like on road trips and all of that, and different hotel rooms and everything. He said that some of those things were a little questionable. You know what I'm saying? He walked in on a few things that he didn't necessarily want to walk into. And he spoke about one particular moment when I forgot what game it was. I want to say it was in Peoria. I think for some reason that sounds so familiar. But anyways, I should have took a note, but I was driving. I couldn't take a note. But so they went away. They went in. I think it was like a preseason game where they played, and then they went into the hotel room. And he said he banged on the door, and he said everybody got quiet. He was like shh, 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 shh. And the guy on the other side of the door was like, "Yo, who is it?" And Michael Jordan was like, "Yo, it's MJ." And they let him in. And then they said, "Oh, he's just a rookie. Don't worry about it." They let him in. He said he walked in on guys doing a line over here, then there's a line of women over there, and then you got weed and all types of stuff like drinking and everything. And he said that, he was there for a couple minutes, and then he realized that, like, man, if this thing gets busted, I'm like, everybody's going down. We all out. But he's also a rookie, so he's kind of just got to just do his thing, And he chose silence, selective quietness, selective silence is kind of my personal tool of choice in my last 4 years of life, per se. Like, I mean, you can hear in my voice, I ain't necessarily the quietest person, but I can choose to be quiet in those moments because I know when I just gotta, just roll with the punches and just find a way to do me in this situation. Jordan did that. And hearing that Jordan did that in that particular situation made me feel better about all of those times that I did the exact same thing. Even to this day, like even to this very moment, despite me being a DJ for 11 years, going to clubs, concerts, private parties, whatever, despite all of that, I never really, it never really intrigued me to be into that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just my mind is just all, like, I would be in a club, if I ever went out to, like, say it's my birthday, I would be in a club thinking about whatever needs to get accomplished. Not obsessing about it, but just legit working through whatever it is. Like, I might be in a club practicing writing or something. I might be in a club writing something in my head or putting together a story, or even I might be actually writing on my phone, depending on how rude I want to be, or how, like this, depending on how rude I don't mind being. There we go. I might just be writing on my phone or whatever, you know what I mean? But that's why I don't really go to the club like that, you know? Even when I DJ, I pretty much just go DJing and go home, you know? Jordan did the same thing, man. And as a kid, as a man, as a 30-year-old man who's trying to continue to balance himself in between the tough the tough extremes of right and wrong, right? Hearing that Jordan chose to walk out of that party was like music to my ears, man. And then it made it even better because, and at this point, we were turning back into, you know, in front of the crib. We was going to come inside the house or whatever. So I specifically remember holding my phone as I was about to unbuckle my seatbelt, and I was just kind of watching The Last Dance, getting ready to get out the truck. And, you know, that's when he continued the story, and he continued to say that, you know, I mean, even past that moment, like, I never really was the party guy. I never really was the one to be, you know, like, I just want to win. He said he was just looking for somewhere to lay his head down. That's what we talk about, the hotel. Looking for somewhere to lay his head down and then just get back up and play ball. And then when they were talking about his apartment, his first apartment he had when he was when he just got drafted, he was just trying to get some rest and then go play ball. I like that. I like that kind of ideal and that kind of thinking. But it goes to kind of show you the type of motor that this man really had, the type of motor that he really that he attacked the game with, you know. And it 49 points in the playoff game, 63 points in the playoff game, 49 points on a broken foot. Like, all of that stuff just makes sense when you look at that and you see the type of person that he is. And you know what, man? The montages, oh my God, the montages were amazing in The Last Dance. I mean, the soundtrack, the soundtrack matching up with the highlights and just looking on the court and just being like, oh, okay, that's Larry Bird. Okay, that's, you know, man, like, and you just seeing all of these people. And you're just like, wow. But the montages that was showing these people that had the music and all of that, it was just so full of life and it was full of like just intrigue. It just made me just look closer at the screen. I'm just like, wow, this is pretty dope. So big shout out to ESPN for being able to compile all of those emotions, all those feelings, and I guess to be able to compile that nostalgia into one big production that, you know, honestly was a great way to spend 2 hours on on a Sunday evening. Another thing that I really enjoyed, man, Phil Jackson. Number one, I didn't realize Phil Jackson was so debonair, yo. I ain't realized that he was that, like, stoic. I take a liking to stoic people. Stoicism, to me, is just kind of like a, I don't know. It just goes to show you that some people don't take themselves too serious. You know, it's the exact opposite of being around people who do too much. I don't like that. People who do too much, they just make me feel icky. That ain't my thing. You know what I mean? But Phil Jackson, man, I did not realize that he was that stoic. Like, bro had the suspenders, you know what I mean? He look all broad and look like he don't never raise his voice. He just be like, look, guys, you want to win a championship? We got to do bang, 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 woo, woo, woo. Enjoy yourself. I don't think I've ever seen Phil Jackson stand up. I think he always just be sitting there just on the sideline like, yeah, do your thing. Go ahead, Jordan, you got it. But, you know, speaking of Phil Jackson, man, from a leadership standpoint, hell of a guy. Hell of a leader. You know, hell of a leader. I don't know what happened in New York and New York Knicks. I ain't really talking about the recent stuff, but just an amazing leader, man. Just to kind of hear how the players who were involved with this, whether you're talking Steve Kerr, whether you're talking Paxson was in it, of course Scottie Pippen, of course Jordan, how they revered Phil Jackson. Man, this dude's one hell of a leader because he's a powerful leader. Saying that this guy is one hell of a leader. I mean, what else do you need? You know, that's it right there. But one thing that I really took a liking to with Phil Jackson is that, you know, he had a tendency, or beyond a tendency, he had a habit to create these themes around seasons and stuff like that. And that's how they got The Last Dance because, you know, as we mentioned before, everybody knew going in that this was Phil Jackson's last year as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. For me personally, like, and it's funny, me and my girlfriend talk about this all the time. Like I do the same thing. Like I like to add themes to everything. I don't know why. Like I name little parts of the house, and I create like just little moments, you know what I mean? Little moments in time. Like, all right, this is gonna be the blank summer, and we're gonna make X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? Or it's got a tough 2 weeks coming up. It's the blackout 2-week blackout. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I did the same thing, and it's pretty dope to hear how the players appreciated that, because I'm pretty sure that, actually they probably did tell them in that time period, but you never really appreciate things until it's over, until it's gone, and so to hear those players talk about how much they appreciated Phil Jackson's themes, and talk about them, and you hear them recanting the themes as if it was yesterday, just like The Last Dance, just hearing them talk about how, Phil Jackson slid them, like, I don't know if it was a playbook or if it was just like some type of Chicago Bulls paperwork or whatever, but on the front of it said The Last Dance, and I guess he did that for every season, to where he would name every season, and I mean, it just kind of made these guys work harder, because you just kind of feel like you have something to work for when you create that theme, and I just thought it was really dope, just Phil Jackson, man. Like, he was already at the top of my list coaching wise, but man, he might be the top. I love Greg Popovich too, but we ain't gonna get into this. This ain't about that. It's just, put like this: thank you to Phil Jackson for displaying the leadership that you displayed in my childhood. Thank you, Phil Jackson, for displaying that leadership that even until this day, we're able to tap into those lessons, and I'm able to apply them. I say we're able to apply them. All right, just gotta make that decision. It was so dope to hear that Chicago Bulls intro too. Wasn't it tight? Like, I used to miss how, and I guess they do this too. Wait a minute, do they do this now? The NBA is so weird now. It's just different. It's not that. It's not what it used to be. And back in the day, Bama was getting punched in the mouth and fighting for every little bit. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit different now. You got people taking games off now, but I ain't gonna get into that either. But I think the last time I seen a big intro, like a big, huge, crazy intro, was the Miami Heat intro when LeBron played there. But nothing matches up with the Chicago Bulls intro with that. Like, that was so hard, and they would show it on TV. So, before the game even started, they would show the intro and all that. Then you hear and that's 6'6" from the University of North Carolina at guard, Michael Jordan. It's just like, I just got goosebumps on my back saying that joint. I miss the NBA feeling like that, and I definitely miss that Chicago Bulls intro. So it was dope to see that in The Last Dance. I think I only saw it like once, maybe twice. So I hope that on the rest of the 8 episodes we can get some more of that. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, I could just search it on YouTube though. So it is what it is. I really enjoyed the camaraderie between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I mean, obviously, you imagine these guys had to have had a decent relationship, at least at one point, because of what they were able to accomplish. I subscribe to the idea that, without chemistry, you can't get nothing done. Like period. You know what I mean? Even if you fake the funk, you can only fake it for a little bit before you get exposed, And what that Bulls team, what Michael and Scottie also, like the team, yes, but what Michael and Scottie as a duo, as a tandem, what they were able to accomplish, man, I mean, you had to have known that they had a great relationship. But to hear Michael legit say that, I want to say it was David Aldridge that asked him, shout out to DeMatha too, David Aldridge, DeMatha grad, Stags, what up though? We in here. Don't know why I just pointed to the right and saluted to the right. There's absolutely nobody in the in the studio. But anyways, David Aldridge was interviewing Michael Jordan in the tunnel. And I want to say this is after Scottie had gotten hurt, or basically said he was going to have surgery or something. And, David's like, oh, well, you guys got to do blah, blah, blah. Can you fight to get to the playoffs? Do. And Michael basically said, I can't do it on my own. This is not a one-man job type thing. And he's basically alluding to the fact that you need Scottie, and how that without Scottie, the rest of the team is definitely going to have to step up. I just thought it was an interesting dynamic to finally see a little bit more of Scottie and Mike's relationship. And here's what I hope too. And if you agree with this, you can drop a comment at right here. I hope that, man, that maybe down the line, maybe 10 years or something like that, we get an exclusive and even more in-depth and detailed peek inside of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen's relationship, because I'm going to tell you why. Our success, a lot of times, is catapulted by who we stand next to. You know what I mean? Our success, a lot of times, is catapulted by the people who we have on our team, the people who are by our side, the people who are, able to stand next to us and help us get to our goals as well. They got their goals too. I got my goals as well, and we have goals as a team. Well, we have goals as a team is what I meant to say. I would love to take a peek, a dive into their relationship. And I mean, with 8 episodes left, I mean, you never know. It could pop up, although I think Scottie about to get traded though, so maybe not. But anyways, yeah, it was dope to see Mike and Scottie and how their relationship was. I also thought it was really dope that Scottie was the equipment manager. What? At what is it, Arkansas Central? Is it Central Arkansas? Is that what? I think it's where he went to college at. But it was crazy to see that Scottie Pippen was the equipment manager at the university, because to me, I'm just like, put it like this. I didn't know that, University of Central Arkansas, that's what it is, University of Central Arkansas. I didn't know that that's how Scottie started off. Those are very humble beginnings. And it also meant that he fought. Okay? That means he fought. He'll tell you in the docu-series, in the first 2 episodes, he's like, I didn't have no scholarship. He was the equipment manager. And when people had, they hit a period of time when people, were missing practice, people were missing games, and Scottie had just said, hey, I could play. And then he put him in, and it was cool, it was all right. But then he came back for the next season, and he had grown, and apparently he had become a monster, just a dog, you know what I mean? But I had no clue that he started as an equipment manager. I've never heard that before, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting to see, because Michael kind of had the same story too, not the equipment manager, but in high school, people were kind of doubting him just because, he wasn't Michael Jordan yet. He wasn't even Mike Jordan. He was like 6 feet or something like that, and they said he just grew. And then, also he came back and started working harder and harder and harder and harder, and that's how he became the guy who would go on to shoot that game-winning shot his freshman year at Chapel Hill. Both guys started off with some doubt, people doubting them, and they ended up turning it around, and it's just one of those stories that just constantly remind you, I guess 2 of those stories that just constantly remind you, man, that the story's never done. It's never done. It's never done. If you want to be the best, you can be the best. Go be the best. Straight up. Michael Jordan said he told, is it Roy Williams? I think it was Roy Williams. He told Roy Williams, like, hey, man. And Roy Williams was an assistant at this time. He told Roy, like, hey, I'm going to be the best person ever here, The best player to ever play here. I'm going to be the best, period. And he worked to do that. And I just think that that's dope. That's fire, man. So shout out to Scottie for making it through all of that. Of course, I already told you that season started rough for them, 97, 98. It was obviously a really tough time, man, where they were just confused. Like, it was weird. But Like I said, they would go on to win the championship. But that's the rest of the docu-series, though, so I ain't going to tell you the rest. I don't know the rest. I really enjoyed the lessons of leadership and how important The Last Dance made leadership seem. I loved how it kind of spotlighted how Michael Jordan was the catalyst of a lot of great things that happened within that team. I loved how the clips, the highlights, kind of showed Jordan not just doing the impossible shots, but also some of the impossible passes. The playmaking ability that Jordan had, you know what I mean? More specifically, when they took on the Boston Celtics, and I want to say he dropped, oh my God, if you ain't asked me, I would have known. And you didn't ask me, but I still don't know. I want to say 63. I think he dropped 63 in a playoff game against the Celtics and lost. But to hear how other players responded to Michael Jordan's performance that day and how other players wanted to give all they got, and that was like in the 80s, how other players wanted to give all that they had because Michael Jordan gave everything that he had in that game. That's leadership 101, man. That's hard. Like, that's real leadership right there. It's so contagious. Good energy is so contagious. Good vibes is so contagious. That when you playing ball with somebody who is a dog, you playing ball with somebody who out there really getting buckets for real, it makes you believe that you can get buckets for real too. And you might go out there and get a couple. You know what I mean? But that's the power of leadership. That's good leadership. And I thought that The Last Dance did a phenomenal job in making sure that we understood that Michael Jordan was a good leader, was a great leader, and also making sure that we understood how important it is to be a good leader. You know what I mean? And what a good leader can do. And Michael's competitive drive, like I knew that he was competitive. I just did not know that he was this competitive. He didn't give up. His motor was unbelievable. There was a 10% chance that Michael Jordan could re-injure his broken foot if he were to step on the court. Now, before that, he had been sneaking and playing basketball for like an hour and a half a day, from what they said. Wasn't supposed to be doing any type of physical activity or anything, but he was sneaking, play some ball. And he said he started off with one-on-ones, and he would do 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s, and he would work his way up to 5-on-5s, and came back to the Bulls after all of that, and his legs were stronger. Like the broken legs and all of that. It was his broken foot and something else in his knee or like his calf. That's what it was. His calf was stronger than the one that wasn't hurt. And they were like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what have you been doing? And he told them that he'd been playing ball. And he kind of rehabbed himself, yo. Now, I'm not suggesting that for everybody. Like, if you're a high school kid watching this and you might have hurt something, recently, and you don't want to go into next season with that injury, but the doctor said don't do it, and I'm not saying go out there and do it. Like, I'm just telling you what Michael Jordan did, all right? Just leave it at that, But he never gave up. Even when he was out, when they brought him back and they told him he could only play, 7 minutes a half? Something like that. Man, in them 7 minutes, bro was blasting off. Bro was doing some work for real. And when them 7 minutes was up, man, you could look on his face and tell that he wanted to compete just a little bit longer. So, Michael Jordan's competitive drive was unbelievable. I had underrated it, and for the longest, I thought I had overrated it. Like, that's the esteem that I looked to Michael Jordan with, to the point where I already knew he was competitive, and he was probably the most competitive athlete that I would look up to, But now everything is just cemented. Just, oh my God. Even that is underrated. Understanding that he's the most competitive athlete, that's an understatement, The guy never stopped, yo. The guy never stopped. And again, that's just stuff that you can apply to life, that we can apply to life. And I mean, it's just so many lessons in The Last Dance, man. I loved just the first 2 episodes so far, yo. Another thing I wrote down, which is completely random. I don't want to be Jerry Krause, and this is what I mean. Jerry Krause was talented, man. Jerry Krause apparently put together some good teams. Okay, that means that's usually what championships mean, unless you're a cheater, like certain organizations. I ain't gonna get into it. But Jerry Krause was a genius in some ways, in understanding that, what it takes to build a team, to make the right trades, to make different free agent acquisitions, the proper free agency acquisitions, I should say. That's talent. That's dope. That's why certain general managers like Masai Ujiri in Toronto, that's why they get praised and loved on like that, because that's a talent. To put together talent takes talent, And Scotty, was it Scotty? Ooh, it might have been Scotty that said this. And if it's not, then Scotty, I'm sorry. I don't want to misquote you, bro. But I think Scotty was the one that said that Jerry Krause was a very talented person, but he would get in his own way. And it became very apparent in that last year because of how he was handling the Scottie Pippen situation. Also because how he was handling the Phil Jackson situation. He had found a way to wedge himself, to wedge himself in his own way. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the guy that's got the talent, but everything else is just meh, yeah. Or, I don't want to be the guy who's got the talent, but also has the headache, if that makes sense. So, even from Jerry Krause's shortcomings, you could learn a lot of stuff. And even in that debate, or not even debate, even in that little debacle that he had with Scottie Pippen, I saw flashes of myself in Scottie when all of that was happening. And only thing that Scottie wanted to do was he just wanted to matter. He was the Robin to Jordan's Batman, which is literally what the docu-series said. Now, the issue was he was talented. You see, Robin could do some stuff, but he ain't got what Batman had. You know what I mean? Clearly, Batman was the big brother. Clearly, Batman was like, yo, go to Philly and get us some cheesesteaks. Like, he was, that's the hierarchy between the two. I don't necessarily know if that's the exact same thing. Like, I don't know, maybe Jordan and Pippen is more like two Avengers. You know what I mean? Maybe it was like Captain America and like Iron Man or something like that. I mean, I don't know. But I'm not really familiar. Well, I'm familiar, but I haven't watched them all, the Marvel joints. So, pardon me. I'm gonna exit out of this. But Scottie just wanted to matter, and he's being paid peanuts for what he's doing, and he knows the value of what he's doing. He knows that he's by Michael Jordan's side, and he knows how reliable he's been to Michael Jordan and how much Michael Jordan needs Scottie. It's got to be a lot to deal with to be that talented and be ignored. Kind of asked Jerry Krause. So Scottie's debacle that Jordan says, that's the only thing I disagree with Michael Jordan in this, is he said that he thought Scottie was being selfish. I don't know. I disagree. I think it's easy. I think it was easier for Michael Jordan to say that because Michael Jordan ain't Scottie Pippen. You see what I'm saying? Michael Jordan didn't have an issue with, Jerry Krause. Well, I guess he did have an issue with Jerry Krause, but Krause is going to make sure that Jordan was good. He wasn't going to cut Jordan. That'd be the stupidest thing in the world. But, Scottie's relationship with the organization was way different than Jordan's relationship with the organization. So it's easier for Jordan to say that. But in actuality, just looking back, Scottie just wanted to matter, yo. That's all it was. Scottie knew that he deserved more money, and we all knew that he deserved more money. I still can't believe that he was getting paid that. And he signed that long-ass contract. Like, he got hoodwinked, And I think that he was trying to make it right. but he was also hoping that a organization with the integrity that the Chicago Bulls has, he was hoping that that organization would know that they did things wrong and that they would want to make it right with somebody like Scottie Pippen. That's all it was. And when Jerry Krause didn't necessarily seem to care about it, I mean, you know, Scottie did what Scottie had to do. Scottie made a business move and showed that he was worth more, you know, and demanded a trade, and it just is what it is. So that's kind of where episode 2 left off, and I guess that they're going to pick up on it, on the rest of it next weekend, same time. I believe it's the same time. Episode 1 and episode 2 really gripped me, as you can tell. I'm very intrigued by this, but I want to hear what you got to say, you know. You can even drop some comments below. I hit you right back. You can also hit me on Instagram and Twitter at Brian's World Live. I believe it's on the screen. Yes, it's on the screen, in the lower third, as they say. And you can hit me back. Let me know what you think, you know. And the reason being, man, is because I'm very curious to see if this docu-series touched you the same way that it touched me. You know, I want to see if it was able to tap into your psyche and really transcend the idea and understanding of sports. And, you know, was it able to really add to your life like it did for me? All right, hit me up. Let me know. Shout out to ESPN for dropping The Last Dance. It's Brian's World, baby.